Hey everyone, today's story is shared us by a mother from Arizona. She shared a real experience that still haunts her, something about a strange doll named Labubu and her little daughter's unsettling connection to it. She says the doll wasn't just a toy, it felt alive. If you're into true horror that feels a little too real, hit subscribe and stay close. So let's begin the story. Hey Mr. Dark Lord, I'm a single mom with age 31, living in Phoenix, Arizona. It all started in April 2024, when my husband and I got our 6-year-old daughter, Ava, a gift for doing well in school. We had no idea that small decision would change everything. We were at this local flea market, one of those indoor ones that feels like a maze. That's where Ava saw it. A small doll with big teeth, furry ears, and a striped body. Labubu, the seller said.
It's popular online.
It didn't look sweet, more mischievous, but Ava fell in love instantly. She's funny, mommy, she kept saying. We bought it for $12. I didn't like the look of it. Not because it was scary, just off. It had these black button eyes, too shiny. But I thought, maybe I'm just being dramatic. That night, Ava tucked it beside her in bed and whispered to it like kids do with stuffed animals. I kissed her forehead, turned off the light, and that was it. Or so I thought. Around 3 a.m., I woke up needing water. As I passed Ava's door, I heard whispers, light ones, a kid's voice. I posited maybe she was talking in her sleep, but when I leaned closer, it was more like a conversation. I heard her say,
"Okay, but don't tell mommy."
Then silence. I peeked inside. Ava was turned toward the doll, smiling in her sleep. That night, I heard soft giggles from her room. It was past midnight. I crept closer, thinking she was watching cartoons on her tablet. But when I peeked in, the room was dark, no screen, no light, just her, sitting cross-legged, facing Labubu. "Stop it," she whispered, then laughed.
"You're so funny."
My heart skipped. There was no one else there, no sound but her voice. She kept talking like she was in a full conversation. I leaned in, trying to hear, but I only heard her part of it. No replies, just silence between her words.
"No, I won't tell mommy,"
she whispered. She wouldn't understand. That last line chilled me. I pushed the door open. "Honey, who are you talking to?" She blinked at me, like I'd interrupted something private. To Labubu, she said calmly.
"She's my good friend now."
I tried to laugh it off, but her tone, it was too serious for a 5-year-old. I told her it was late, tucked her in, and took the doll out of the room.
"She won't like that,"
she said, eyes suddenly wide. I ignored it, trying not to show I was shaken, but her voice echoed in my head.
"She won't like that."
I left the doll in the hallway outside our bedroom, but sometime during the night, I heard soft footsteps, tiny ones, padding across the wooden floor. I thought my daughter was heading to the bathroom, but when I peeked out, I saw her standing silently in the hallway, holding Labubu. She was just staring at me, not saying anything, just standing there in the dark, clutching that doll to her chest. "Sweetie, what are you doing?" I whispered. She didn't answer right away. Then in a flat voice, she said
That Labubu didn't want to sleep alone.
Her eyes looked heavy, like she hadn't rested. I walked her back to her bed and laid her down. This time, I didn't take the doll. I kissed her forehead, but she didn't smile, just kept her eyes open, staring at the ceiling like she was listening to something. The next morning, she was acting normal, drawing in her sketchbook, humming. When I asked about the night before, she giggled.
"You were dreaming, mommy,"
she said, but I knew I wasn't. Later, I checked her drawings. Most were flowers and cartoons, but one page had a tall, thin figure with black eyes, standing behind a little girl holding a doll. I didn't ask her about it. I couldn't. That same day, I called my husband. I told him I thought the doll was creeping our daughter out, but he brushed it off. "It's just a toy," he said, but I knew better. That night, I watched through the baby monitor. She sat upright in bed, whispering to Labubu for nearly an hour. I couldn't hear her clearly, but I saw her shake her head, then nod slowly like she was agreeing to something. I pressed my ear closer to the monitor, heart racing. My daughter whispered again.
"Okay, but only if mommy says yes."
Then silence. I rushed to her room. She was lying down now, eyes closed, Labubu in her arms. I didn't want to scare her, so I quietly stepped back, closed the door, and went to my room, but sleep never came. I just kept replaying that sentence in my head.
"Only if mommy says yes."
The next morning, she said something strange while eating cereal.
Labubu says you're scared of her, but you don't have to be. She likes you.
I nearly dropped my cup. Honey, Labubu talks to you. I asked carefully. She smiled, like it was the most normal thing in the world. Of course, she talks to me every night. I asked what they talked about. Stuff, she said. Mostly about the other kids. She misses them. I sat there frozen. What are the kids? I asked. She shrugged.
Her friends, the ones from the store, they're gone now.
She's sad. I was shaken. The antique store owner had told me the doll was old, but he didn't mention any set. That night, after she fell asleep, I went to the attic and searched the doll's box. Tucked deep inside, behind the padding, was a faded photograph of 3 children in the same doll. The photo looked ancient sepia-toned, corners curling. The children stood in front of an old house. All were holding dolls, but Labubu stood out, even in the photo. I flipped it over. Faint pencil writing said, Summer 1961. Last picture before they vanished. My hands went cold. I ran downstairs and locked the attic. My husband was asleep, so I didn't wake him. I just sat in the kitchen, staring at the photo till sunrise. The next day I went back to that antique store, photo in hand, but the place was closed, permanently. The windows were boarded up like it had been that way for years. I even checked online, no business registered at that address. It was like the shop never existed. I stood there on the sidewalk, clutching that picture, heart pounding. I had questions, too many but nowhere to take them. That night, I sat on the edge of my daughter's bed as she slept, watching her chest rise and fall. Labubu was tucked in her arms like always. I tried to take the doll, just to see if she'd stir, and she did. Instantly, she didn't even open her eyes. She just mumbled,
Don't. She doesn't like when you touch her.
I backed off. That didn't sound like my daughter. That sounded rehearsed. My husband still thought I was overreacting. He'd said,
It's just a doll. She's using her imagination.
Maybe, but imagination doesn't leave photos in boxes. Imagination doesn't whisper to kids in the dark. That night, I set up a phone to record audio in her room just to catch something, anything. I sat up in the kitchen all night, watching the audio bar bounce. And then, at 2:37 a.m., it dipped, then spiked. The waveform was erratic. I hit play. First, silence. Then the tiniest, most distorted whisper, Mommy's scared. My blood ran cold. It wasn't my daughter's voice. I replayed it again, slower, clearer. She won't let go. That's what it said. Then silence. No footsteps, no doors, just those words. I rushed upstairs, opened the door, and there she was, fast asleep. But the doll was sitting up, leaned against the wall, smiling. I swear I had tucked the doll under her arm before bed. Dolls don't move, not by themselves. I tried waking my husband, but he was out cold, deeper sleep than usual. I didn't touch Labubu. I just picked up my daughter and brought her to our bed. She didn't wake up, but as I carried her, she whispered,
She doesn't like to be left alone.
My heart nearly stopped. The next day I told my husband everything again. He laughed, kissed my forehead, and said I needed sleep. But that night, I didn't sleep. I sat by her door with the recorder on. At exactly 3:03 a.m., the audio bar twitched, a light thump, then a soft scraping sound, like small plastic dragging across wood. And then the same voice, clearer this time.
She's mine now.
I couldn't take it anymore. Mr. Darklore, that night, I walked into her room and took Labubu while she slept. I wrapped it in thick cloth and locked it in the shed. The air instantly felt lighter, but only for a moment. She woke up screaming, yelling, He's trapped. Her words weren't just scared, they were angry, like she was protecting it. That's when I knew it wasn't just a toy to her anymore. The next morning, the shed door was wide open, cloth torn. Labubu was sitting back on her bed. I never told her where I hid it. She smiled at me and said,
He missed me.
My blood ran cold. I threw the doll into a metal box and drove 10 miles out to burn it. I watched it melt, black smoke rising. But when I came back, she was whispering to her empty hands, still smiling, like he'd never left. It's been months. We moved out of that house. I kept all mirrors covered. No dolls, no stories. But some nights I hear her talking softly to the corner of her room, laughing. I ask her who she's talking to, and she always says the same thing.
My good friend. He never really left.
I don't know if we escaped it or brought it with us. I just wanted to warn you, Mr. Dark Lord. Some dolls aren't just toys.